Welcome to another edition of Ad Hoc Bark Podcast. This is your host, God speaking, and I'm going to talk about something that has come under my radar. Even though it is an ad hoc podcast, I have decided on the topic and I'm going to ramble on extemporaneously. The topic is narcissistic personality disorder. There has been a recent spate of videos about this topic, which, by the way, has no medical justification or basis for diagnosis, but people invented this kafkaesque quote-unquote disease and offering solution for it. All would have been fine and dandy, except all these videos, so-called solutions, do nothing to alleviate or procure any solution. How's that for circular logic? They make these people, I could easily name some of them, and there is a lot of them, and I could do a research and rattle all this and rat them out. But just Google narcissistic personality disorder solution, and they make a 20-minute video, and first 10-minute video they toxically talk about a toxic person. They themselves are so toxic that they need to talk about another toxic person, and usually you end up feeling miserable with a doom and gloom vibe, as if like you've been cursed with parents who are against you and who are the monsters from hell. Here's the truth, in my opinion, and in my not so humble opinion. First of all, yes, boomers will tend to be a little spiteful. They will gaslight, they will manipulate, and that's universal. There are people all over the world who will do that thing. It's Kafkaesque, and that's exactly what they're peddling and they're selling. You go to India, how many people are there? 1 billion. You go to China, again, I don't know what China's population is right now, probably more than 1 billion too, right? Or even 500 million. Bangladesh, 170 million. All these Eastern countries people, they have a very nuclear core family structure with lack of boundaries. So obviously they will tend to exhibit certain symptoms. And if you grow up in a household with no boundaries, you'll tend to exhibit certain symptoms. And the solution for those interests, I'm not denying certain people do tend to exhibit certain symptoms, but the solution is simple. Don't lower your guard, assert your boundary, be assertive, don't compromise. But what all these peddlers do, they make a 20-minute video to scam money out of you, and the first 10 or 15 minutes, they just ramble on and on about how toxic that person is, whilst not realizing how they themselves and their followers are extremely venomous, viper-like, and vengeful, vehement. I'm running out of synonyms, denigrating pejorative synonyms, but you get my idea. These people, they themselves are from hell, and they say, oh, empaths. They label people as if people can be categorized and pigeonholed into categories, empaths and narcissists. The truth of the matter is, and the only good so-called video that had shed light on this was from Teal Swan, because she pointed out empaths are the opposite of narcissistic. And yes, by the way, this so-called narcissistic personality disorder, this creation did not exist before. Just like, the big pharmaceutical funded psychiatrists invented this bipolar depression. Willy-nilly, they'll label anyone with bipolar and depressed and schizophrenia, even if you're just feeling sad for 2 minutes. And even if you go to a hospital, the way they stage the surveys and questionnaire, it's like, have you ever felt bad? Like, they deliberately load it up so as if to trap you into admitting that yes, you have some problem. And one of the question is, I feel something bad is about to happen. I fear. Obviously, obviously many people have anxiety. It's a vague blanket statement of restrictions, constraint to trap people into bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. And yes, there are legitimate cases, of course. Some are like catatonic people and horribly detached people, depersonalized people. Yes, they do need help. But these money-hungry big pharmaceutical companies, who fund these peddling psychiatrists, you have to trap people into psychiatry, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. We have the same thing going. And remember, this very DSM used to vilify the gay people. They used to say homosexuality was a disorder, but things have changed. These people have no scruples and no qualms, and they will stoop to any level for greed and to scrape money of the last penny of the toilet just to further their agenda, push their agenda. Same is happening with COVID-19, but I don't want to go down that path because this is a hot topic. I want to focus, and same with narcissistic personality disorder. Yes, if you go looking for it, just like your RAS, reticular activating system, if you go looking for it, the bias, I forget the term, the cognitive bias effect, where you go looking for something, you will find it, and it's a self-fulfilling thing. Prophecy, not even prophecy, but it's a self-fulfilling. You will, if you go looking for these qualities in a people, and these people claim to be spiritual, who are followers of law of attraction and whatnot, but they vilify another group of labeled people just to make you feel miserable. And that's another thing. You watch all these videos, you go down the rabbit hole, you don't end up feeling good about yourself, because they paint themselves as the hero and savior, and vilifying and labeling some another large proportion of people in the Venn diagram, and that themselves are guilty of the nasty comments and the vile comments they vilify and vilify and label others of. This is how demonic people can be. When you wake up, when your third eye open, you realize people are not what they seem. People under the guise and the pretense of sheep, they're wolf. Under sheep's clothing, they're pure wolf, venomous vipers and wolf. They'll pretend to be nice. They are the real narcissists. If you think they were saint, they would have to. A real saint doesn't have to prove any point. If you think they were the real saint and the real saviors, they would have to vilify some other group of the people as being toxic. Do you think real angel would come down and spend 20 minutes, 15 minutes out of a 20-minute video just toxically, just demonizing this certain group of people? Do you think that? Makes you wonder who are the real narcs are. There's so many out there. Watch out for this scam. And the thing is, yes, I'm not saying there are people who gaslight, manipulates, and deceives people, and the solution is to assert your boundaries. That's it. And if possible, no contact. Yes, just create a space for yourself. That's it. You don't need to listen to 20 videos on this topic just to find a solution, because the solution doesn't exist. And the reason solution doesn't exist, basically, is it's a kafkaesque problem that they create just to monetize some videos, just to pay their fucking bills. That's exactly what they're doing. And people fall for it, and they come out pretending that they are this goody saint. And as Confucius, Chuangzu, Alan Watts used to say, Chuangzu or Confucius would say, goody is the thieves of virtue. And these people are the prime example of saint complex, who under the guise of saint and sheep, they spew and they spread these toxic vibes and in the ethersphere. Yeah, damn right I'm getting worked up. So watch out for these people, because you know what? Yes, there are people like that, and there are billions of people like that. You go to India, China, Asia, Japan, and whatnot, and old school people, the boomers, quote unquote boomers, that's apparently a fashionable term. Millennials who grow up, they will tend to find these type of people who will exhibit these things. And this, never mind, you don't see in the Plato's generation, Leonardo da Vinci's generation, Einstein's generation talk about this, because this shit didn't exist before. We live in and we ourselves are narcissistic. We live in a technology culture where it's all about us. We peddle ourselves to the self-help guru, and I don't fucking do that, because I can give a rat's ass about your like, subscribe, and sharing my video, because I make video just to fucking make video. I can give a fucking rat's ass and a fucking 2 pence a hoot about what if my video blows up or makes by. This is a fucking God speaking, homie. I don't need you. You need me. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm not reliant or dependent on anyone. So having said that, and that's why you see I don't have any subscribers, my videos don't blow up, because fuck you. I'm not gonna acquiesce and to YouTube standards and kowtow and bend over back just to please some fucking YouTube authorities. Make a 10-minute video. But the reason why my videos are long is not because I'm ulterior agenda to motive to monetize my videos. It's just because I like to ramble on. I like to rant and ramble. Anyways, so going back, These people, these horrible people, they make all this slew and spate of videos on narcissistic topic, and they trap and bait you thinking that you're somehow the victim, and you end up feeling miserable, and you think the person who is pointing them out, they're somehow the savior. Because if they're really the savior, they'll just say, yes, there are people out there, you should watch out for them, and, assert your boundaries. It's as simple as that. But they don't do that. They make 40 minutes video, they make 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes video, 10s, 20, 40 of them, all obsessively focusing on that. That's another thing. If you get overworked up with the people who has that sort of tendency in your life, and you're this victim, empath, victim, this sheep, this rabbit, this white saint who is victimized by these people, remember this. God, we live in an inclusive universe. God leaves no one behind. We're all made in the image of God. We're all son of God. We all have that Godhood, that in our divineness within us. Do not ever forget that. No matter how horrible the people you might think they are, they have an inner divinity within them. But people don't preach that. They want to make you feel as miserable as possible so that you keep coming back like an addict to their videos, thinking they somehow are the savior for pointing out the obvious, who's the bad guy, and pointing finger at the real bad guy in the room. But as they say, when you point one finger, the fucking four fingers pointing back at you. And fuck you all, who's preying on this unsuspecting victims, so-called victims, martyr syndrome, because you guys are not martyrs. Why do you think you guys are the good guys? Just because you're empath, so-called empath, because you're kind. Why are you kind? That's your problem. Why did you become kind in the first place? Maybe you're as guilty as the other narcs, so-called narcs that you vilify. You guys are the two sides of the same coin. The demons you project outside from your psyche, you harbor that. People are your reflections. As within, so without. Yin and yang. There's a Brahmin in a murderer. There's a murderer in a Brahmin. You're not virtuous saint. You're not. Your slate is not pristine, squeaky clean. And there are millions of videos out there who tends to paint this duality. And if you're a religious, spiritual follower of duality, non-dual ideas and philosophies, who are Taoist or anything, or Advaita, you'd know that at the end it's all a mirage, it's a Maya, illusion. Good people can be bad people can be good. We all possess an inner yang shadow and archetype. I'm not saying that the evil people doesn't exist, but if you want to talk about evil, look at Democrats. The Democratic Party imploding. The Democrats willingly surrendering our rights. They're willingly surrendering to contact tracing. They're willingly surrendering to censorship. They're willingly surrendering to this Fauci and Gates, these horrible monsters. And they were the Democratic Liberal Party who used to stand up for our rights, and we used to vilify the Republicans for that. But now what has happened? So it makes you wonder who the real bad guys are, huh? Maybe I shouldn't ramble on too much, or else I'll be guilty of the same sin that I'm pointing, I'm identifying. So, but I just wanted a cautionary tale, because, you might think you're not a Jezebel, but you're no virtuous saint either, homie. Out.